سورة المباركة الفاتحة. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين، شفيع المذنبين وخاتم النبيين، نبينا وشفينا وحبيب قلوبنا وطبيب نفوسنا أبي القاسم محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المنتجبين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. اللهم لعن أول ظالم ظلم حق محمد وآل محمد وآخر تابع له على ذلك. اللهم لعن الإسابة التي جاحدت الحسين وشايعت وبايعت وتابعت على قتله. اللهم لعنهم جميعا. أما بعد، فقد قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في كتابه المجيد وفرقانه الحميد، وهو أصدق الصادقين وقوله الحق. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وما خلقت الجن والإنس إلا ليعبدون. آمنا بالله وصدق الله العلي العظيم. صلوات على محمد وآله. Respected scholars, elders of the community, my brothers and sisters in Islam, Salamun alaykum jami'an wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. أعظم الله أجورنا وأجوركم بمسابنا بأبي عبد الله الحسين عليه الصلاة والسلام. We've been talking over the last few days about several different issues, but you probably have figured out by now that in Islam we have realities that we need to evaluate. And the realities are that we need to move from one level to another level to another level in a process of ascension towards the proximity of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We've talked about the fact that there are basic realities that we need to adhere to, which is the Islamic jurisprudence, which is fiqh, the Islamic laws. But we've also talked about how important it is to move beyond that to Islamic ethics and Islamic morality, and then to move beyond that into the realm of Islamic spirituality and mysticism. For until you are able to move and transform yourself, you will not be able to get to the core of what the essence of the religion is. There is, of course, a relationship between all of these. These are not exclusive and they are not in silos. It's not that there is Islamic jurisprudence and then Islamic morality and ethics and then spirituality and mysticism and all of that. It's a continuum. It's integrated, right? These are not separate levels. And so there is a relationship between all of these things. The ayah of the Quran, of course, that I have recited in front of you is a very famous ayah wherein Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. I have only created the jinn and the humans so that they may worship me. It's a very famous ayah. I have created them only so that they may worship me. So that begs the question that what is the relationship that worship has with respect to Islamic jurisprudence, Islamic morality and ethics, and Islamic spirituality? There has to be a relationship with worship, with all three dimensions that we've been talking about, so that we understand what is the purpose of worship. We have to understand what is the purpose of worship. Because many of us have interpreted this verse literally. We've given it a literal interpretation, wherein we think that if we carry out the ritualistic acts of worship, we think sometimes that we have done our duty, alhamdulillah, and we have worshipped Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And sometimes we ingrain in this so much within ourselves that if we miss that act of worship, we feel uneasy about it. We feel really bad about it. And it sometimes gives us a false notion when we carry out these acts of worship that we are very pious. Alhamdulillah, we recite Salatul Layl, we are very pious people. So it gives us this false belief that we have become very pious because we have carried out these acts of worship. But what we need to understand is we need to go beyond the ritualistic approach to religion and grasp onto the spirit of the religion. When we connect this verse of the Quran that I've recited with other verses of the Quran relating to acts of worship, we find that the act of worship is not the key. The key is not the act of worship. What is important is that every act of worship must bring about a transformational change within our character and our morality. And once it brings that transformational change within our character and our morality, then we are able to ascend to a higher level of spirituality and mysticism. The act of worship is only a means to perfect our character. It's not the goal itself. It's a means to achieve the goal. Sometimes we look at that act of worship as the goal. The goal is to shape our character. If if the act of worship does not lead to a positive change in our character, then that act of worship has no real benefit for us, does it? It has to be able to lead us to be able to ascend, right, to a higher level. It's a transcendental process, right? We need to move to a higher level towards the proximity of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So let's look at some of these acts of worship that we carry out and what is the purpose behind it. And what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, what's the purpose behind it? Did I break this? Oh, okay, sorry. I'll just leave it down there. Is that okay? Recite a salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So let's look at these acts of worship and see what are the purposes behind carrying out the act of worship, so that we can be able to evaluate it from a Quranic perspective and from a Hadith perspective. So the most important act of worship in Islam is, come on guys, Salat, right, that's good. The most important act of worship in Islam is Salat. What does the Quran say about Salat? أُتْلُ مَا أُوحِيَ إِلَيْكَ مِنَ الْكِتَابِ وَأَقِيمِ الصَّلَاةِ إِنَّ الصَّلَاةَ تَنْهَى عَنِ الْفَحْشَاءِ وَالْمُنْكَرِ. This is what the Quran says. وَلَذِكْرُ اللَّهِ أَكْبَرُ وَاللَّهُ يَعْلَمُ مَا تَصْنَعُونَ. In the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that recite what is sent of the book by the inspiration that you have received and establish regular prayer. Why establish regular prayer, O Allah? For prayer restrains you from committing shameful and unjust deeds. So the ayah clearly shows that Salat as an act of worship is to be established because it prevents you from committing shameful and unjust deeds. That's the purpose of salat. The goal is not the salat itself. The goal is that salat should create that situation, that existential situation within yourself. It should change your character so that you do not commit unjust and shameful deeds. By refraining from these evil deeds, one is able to shape their character and develop those divine manifestations, giving rise to a good moral and ethical character. See, remember, salat has two components to it. The first component is the structure and the form of salat. This is the fiqh aspect, yes? You have to establish it correctly with all its jurisprudential rules and regulations in order for that salat to be accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You cannot recite 3 rakat for fajr. You cannot do ruku the way you want. You cannot do sajda the way you want. You have to be able to recite it in the way that it has been prescribed. That is the jurisprudential aspect of the salat. You cannot worship Him the way you want to worship Him. That's what Shaitan did. Shaitan said to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, your sajda, you tell me however many you want me to do, your sajda I am prepared to do. Adam I will not do. See, there is a little bit of takabbur in it, right? You can say, sometimes people say, it's okay, man, I can just like meditate. I'm pretty good at it. I connect with God. When I meditate, I don't need to go salat, ruku, and this, and sajda, and 1 sajda, and 2 sajda, and, rukni, and ghayra rukni, all these wajibat. It's very complicated. I can just sit there, turn on a little bit of music, and I can connect with Allah. Much better than those people can connect. Allah says, don't be so proud and arrogant. Do the salat the way I have asked you to do salat. Who are you to tell me that how you want to worship me? You are my creature. I created you. I created you. Worship me in the way that I want you to worship me. Not the way you want me to worship. Not the way you want to worship me. But after establishing the salat correctly, the question is, has that salat been accepted or not? Has that salat reached its perfection or not? That's a secondary question. You've established it with your rules, but has that salat become your mi'raj? As-salatu mi'rajul mu'min, the Holy Prophet says, right? The salat is supposed to ascend you to the closeness and proximity of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Has it done that? That's a different question. Establishing it correctly is one thing. Establishing it correctly means you have made it eligible for it to be accepted. But that doesn't mean it has been accepted. Not only that, it doesn't mean that it has been perfected. For the Holy Prophet says that as-salatu umududdin. Salat is the pillar of your religion. In qubilat qubila ma siwa, wa in ruddat rudda ma siwa. If your salat is accepted, then all your amals will be accepted. But if your salat is rejected, then none of your amals will be accepted. So salat has to be established in a way that when you present it, it actually is accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it's perfected in its essence. Not in its form, but in its essence it needs to be perfected. A person came to one of our imams and he asked the imam, how do I know if my salat is accepted or not? And the imam he answered that if after reciting your salat you see a change in your character, then know that your salat is accepted. Be confident of it. Know that your salat is accepted. Imam Jafar Sadiq, salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi, a man came to Imam Jafar Sadiq. He said, tell me, how do I know a true believer? How do I know a true believer? Look at the answer of the Imam. The Imam says, do not look at how that person prolongs his ruku and his sujood. Do not look at how long he prolongs his ruku and his sujood. Don't be deceived by this, the sixth Imam is saying. Don't be deceived by this, because it just may be a habit for that person. You know, in Africa, the youngsters won't understand this very much, but in Africa, when we wanted to get married, in those days, what used to happen is, you know, you would send a proposal, or your elders would send a proposal to the woman, yes? And in those days, the family of the girl would say, okay, how religious is he? Does he come to the mosque? Does he pray? Does he fast? Now it's different. How big a house does he have? Which car does he drive? Now it's a little bit different. But in those days it was, you know, how much does he pray? How much does he fast? So those were the questions that were asked. So when you really liked somebody, you were madly in love with this girl, and you wanted to impress the parents, because now you know that if I don't impress the parents, then I'm not going to get her. So what would happen? You would go to the mosque early. You would wait for that parent to come. And as soon as the parent would come, you would stand up in salat. Allahu Akbar loudly. And after Surah Al-Hamd, you would recite Surah Baqarah. Yes, you wanted to impress the father that, you know, he's a very pious boy. To ke alhamdulillah, chokro namazi che, roja rakhe che, samjane. Even if you are not fasting, you make your face like you're fasting. Right? So this is what we used to do. So the sixth Imam is saying, don't be deceived by somebody who is prolonging his ruku and his sujood, because this may just be a habit for that person. If you truly want to know that who is a real and true believer, then test them with two things. Look at how honest they are and how trustworthy they are. For that is the sign of a true believer. Not how long they do their ruku and how long they do their sujood. Look at how honest they are and how trustworthy they are. For the Imam is saying, and he is emphasizing, that salat should develop an exemplary moral character in that person. That's the purpose of salat. You know, many people ask, you know, that they say we are not able to focus in our salat. You know, if you forget something, you go into salat, inshallah, you will remember it. So we are not able to focus in our salat. We cannot concentrate in our salat. And somebody asked this to our fourth Imam, Imam Sajjad, salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi. Look at the answer of the Imam. The Imam says your problem is not in your salat. The Imam is saying the problem is not in your salat. He says the problem lies in your external life and how you live your life. That's the Imam. He says that salat has an external component and an internal component. Your life that you lead outside your salat, including your desires, your thoughts, your inclinations and your actions, become ingrained in your essence and your nafs. That's what the fourth Imam is saying. And he says when you rise to establish salat, these thoughts and inclinations and actions become externalized and manifested during your salat. That is why you lose focus in your salat. Imam says that when you lead a life, in your day-to-day life, everything that you do, give it a divine direction. Give it a divine color. Give it a divine purpose, so that when you commit an action, you are fully aware that I am committing this action only for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when you do that in your day-to-day life, you will see that you will be able to concentrate in your salat. You know, once in Medina, the Holy Prophet, you know, it was time for Zuhr Salat in Medina. So in Masjid Nabawi, the companions of the Holy Prophet had gathered in Masjid al-Nabawi to recite their Salat. And the Prophet was late for Salat. The Prophet was late for Salat. So everybody is looking at their watch. He's late. So anyway, you know, they were looking, they were waiting. It's the Holy Prophet, right? They cannot lead the Salat. They want to wait for the Holy Prophet. So the Prophet was a few minutes late. He came, and alhamdulillah, he led the Salat. And as he led the Salat, he finished the Salat. Everybody said, alhamdulillah, they went home. There was one or two people like me. It was bugging them. Okay, why was the Prophet late? Salat awwal waqt, you know, is very, very important. So they came to the Prophet. Somebody like me came to the Prophet, said, I'm just asking, I'm just asking you. Nothing personal, but I'm just asking, you know, you were late today for Salat. And the Prophet said to him, yes, look, I was late, but let me tell you why I was late. He said, as I was coming to Masjid-Al-Nabawi, the alleyways of Medina were very narrow. The alleyways of Medina were very narrow, so only one person at a time can pass into the alleyways of Medina. And he says, as I was coming to pray Salat, there was a frail old man in front of me who was walking very slowly with a stick. He said, I did not feel it was appropriate for me, for my own moral and ethical behavior, to tell that old man to move aside so that I could pass. So I just kept walking behind him. That's why I was late. Salat is supposed to change your character. It's supposed to change your character. Once the Holy Prophet was reciting Salat in Masjid-Al-Nabawi. It was a 4-rakat Salat, maybe Zuhr, Asr, Isha, who knows. He was reciting Salat. After 2 rakats of the Salat, he started to, recite the Salat fast. The last 2 rakats were very fast. First 2 rakats, alhamdulillah, at a good pace. But last 2 rakats were fast. When he finished his Salat, everybody thought, Bana, maja nahi liya namaz mein. Maja nahi li. Barabur noti namaz. But of course it was the Prophet who was leading it, right? It was the Prophet who was leading it, so, they said, oh, no problem. But there were a couple of people like me still in that place, sitting. And it was niggling them. So they went to the Prophet, and they said to the Holy Prophet, they said, very good Salat, alhamdulillah. First 2 rakats, brilliant. But the last 2, you went very fast. We are just saying, I'm not saying anything, I'm just saying. And the Holy Prophet said to him that you do not hear what I heard in Salat. He said, when I finished my 2 rakat Salat, I heard that there was a baby who was crying. And by the cry of the baby, I realized that this baby was probably a very young infant, maybe just a few days old. And I realized that because of the baby's cry, the mother who was reciting salat must have been quite anxious and agitated to know that her baby was crying. That's why I sped my salat so that the mother could attend to the baby. This is what salat needs to do. Inna as-salata tanha anil fahsha'i wal munkar. It is supposed to change our character. Change our character. What is the second act of worship that we are in, which is very high in Islam? After salat is? Fasting. Yes. Fasting. So what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say about fasting? Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu kutiba alaykumus siyam kama kutiba ala alladhina min qablikum la'allakum tattaqun. The Quran says that this fasting is prescribed for you just as it was prescribed for those before you. Why? So that you may attain taqwa, so that you may protect yourself, so that you may protect yourself against the disobedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so that it becomes a shield for you. The purpose of fasting is to gain taqwa. The goal is not the fast. There has to be an effect of the fast, right? The purpose of fasting is to develop your character. And that's what you see. Once again, the Holy Prophet, in the holy month of Ramadan, the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in the holy month of Ramadan, the Holy Prophet is walking in the streets of Medina. And he sees an old woman, he sees a woman, not an old woman, but he sees a woman who was abusing her servant. It was in the middle of the day, in the holy month of Ramadan. This woman was abusing her servant. You know, we say gali dena, right? Natukana, abusing the servant. So the Holy Prophet stopped and he said to his companions, get me a glass of water. So the companions got him a glass of water. He took the glass of water and he said to that woman, drink this. And the woman looked at the Holy Prophet and he said, Ya Rasulullah, it is the holy month of Ramadan and I am fasting. And the Holy Prophet said, you are not fasting. You have just refrained from eating and drinking. Your behavior shows that you are not fasting. Drink this water. Why are you wasting everybody's time? For this fast is supposed to change your character. The fact that you're standing there abusing your servant means your character has not changed. You know, sometimes when we have to fast, you know, at work, you know, our workmates, you know, our colleagues just tell everybody else, man, this month is fasting month, stay away from him, because he's hot-headed now. Just stay away from him. This is not the purpose of fasting, right? The true fasting should create a moral and ethical character within yourself. Reflections of the divine need to come into yourself. You know, abusing somebody shows that you have not achieved that desired effect of that act of worship. There is a purpose for the act of worship. What's the third important act of worship? After salat and fasting is Hajj. Alhamdulillah. It's Purwadeen, it's simple. Right? Hajj is the next one, right? There is a famous hadith from our fourth Imam, Imam Sajjad, salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi. Once the fourth Imam went to Hajj with Abu Basir, his companion, and they went to Masjid-Al-Haram. And Abu Basir, you know, he heard the voices of the Hujjaj in Masjid-Al-Haram, calling out the talbiyah, labbaik Allahumma labbaik, labbaik la sharika laka labbaik. Yes? And the and the Imam was with Abu Basir. And the Abu Basir says to the Imam Ibn Rasulullah, Alhamdulillah, this year there are so many Hujjaj. There are so many Hujjaj who have come to perform Hajj. And the Imam says to Abu Basir, how do you know there are so many Hujjaj? He says, no, Ibn Rasulullah, do you not hear the echoes of Talbiyah that are coming out? So many Hujjaj who have come for Hajj. The fourth Imam says to Abu Basir, come close to me. Abu Basir comes close to the fourth Imam. He now takes his two fingers and he says, look between my two fingers. And when Abu Basir looks between his two fingers, he sees that there is only a handful of human beings who are doing tawaf. The rest of the people who were doing tawaf were not human beings. They were animals. Some were pigs, some were wolves, some were lions, some were different types of animals. Then the fourth Imam says to Abu Basir, do you not see that there are only a handful of people who are doing the tawaf? The rest of them are just animals in their essence. This Hajj has not transformed their character. They are just doing a ritual. The Hajj needs to transform their character. The rest of them are worshipping the worship of animals. That's what the fourth Imam says. Because it hasn't transformed their character. Next act of worship is what? After Hajj is? Zakat. What does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say about zakat? خُذْ مِنْ أَمْوَالِهِمْ صَدَقَةً تُطَهِّرُهُمْ وَتُزَكِّيهِمْ بِهَا وَسَلِّ عَلَيْهِمْ إِنَّ الصَّلَاةَ سَكْنٌ لَهُمْ وَاللَّهُ سَمِيعٌ عَلِيمٌ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala identifies two stages here for the giving of zakat. The first stage, he says, that what zakat does is it purifies your heart. And once your heart is purified, then you can adorn yourself with the virtues and the reflections and names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the purpose of charity. The purpose of charity is to purify our hearts. Your heart is like a container, yes? It's like a septic tank. If you have a septic tank and that tank is dirty, it doesn't matter how much clean water you're going to put into it, what's going to happen to the water? It's going to be dirty, right? The first thing we need to do is to clean it, right? You need to clean that tank and then you can adorn it with water. Similarly, your heart, our hearts are full of sins. So what zakat does, what charity does according to this ayah, is it purifies your heart in a way so that it becomes ready to receive those blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There is a purpose to zakat. There is a purpose to charity. The charity is supposed to develop virtues and build our character. And let me tell you one thing. There is no better way to clean your heart with charity than to give in the name of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. Don't take this lightly. Don't take this lightly. If I was to give you the hadith from the Aimma about the importance of giving in the name of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, wallahi, you will see. Do you think that Imam Hussein is going to keep your money? You think he's going to keep it? He will get that manifold. You will get it back. Whatever you do this Muharram, give something in the name of Abu Abdullah. Whatever you want to give and to whatever cause you want to give. But give something and give it in the name of Abu Abdullah. And see how much blessing that brings to you. See how much blessing that brings to you. You know, there was a time that we used to fight. Who's going to pay for the tabarruk? We used to fight. Now the committee has to beg. Now we have to beg. If you were to understand the shafa that was in that tabarruk of Aba Abdullah al-Hussein, that is shafa in it. So my friends, the purpose of all of these acts of worship is to transform us. It's to carry out a transformation so that we excel and perfect our moral and ethical character. And by so doing, we reflect the names of God within and ourselves. And by so doing, we start to ascend towards the proximity of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. These are a means to achieve the goal. They are not the goal in itself. For you see that even in Karbala, the people in the side of Yazid, they were the Qari of Quran. They had the marks of sujood on their forehead. They were fasting in the holy month of Ramadan. They used to recite Quran all the time. They also established prayer on the day of Ashura. They also did their salat on the day of Ashura. But there was a big difference. One salat was there to transform, the other one was to cause destruction. There is a difference. There is a purpose to worship. And there is one personality that we will talk about tonight. Allahu Akbar. You know, when the Holy Prophet had passed away, Imam Hussein alayhi salam was very sad after the passing away of the Holy Prophet. He used to always remain sad. And I've told you one thing, right? That the Ahlul-bayt was never able to bear the tears of Hussein. So Hussein used to be very sad when the Holy Prophet died. And once Imam Hussein saw a dream. And in his dream came the Holy Prophet. And Imam Hussein alayhi salam was having a conversation with the Holy Prophet. And the Holy Prophet said to Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, says, "Oh Hussein, why is it that you are so sad?" And Imam Hussein says to the Holy Prophet, "Oh my grandfather, oh my Prophet, I am sad because I miss doing your ziyarah. I miss the fact that I am not able to see you." At that point, the Holy Prophet says to Imam Hussein, "Do not worry. I will pray to God that Allah gives you a son who will be a spitting image of me." Aliyun al-Akbar. Aliyun al-Akbar was the dua of the Holy Prophet. He was a spitting image of the Holy Prophet. Not only in his looks, not only in his face and his looks, but he was an image of the Holy Prophet, the history writes, in all aspects, including the behavior of the Holy Prophet. And the behavior of the Holy Prophet is khuluqun azim. The Holy Quran says that his akhlaq was the highest level of akhlaq. And the akhlaq of Ali Akbar, his behavior, his knowledge, his faith, every aspect of Ali Akbar was an image and reflection of the Prophet. Spitting image of the Prophet. Whenever Imam wanted to remember the Holy Prophet, he used to bring Ali Akbar in front of him. Whenever he wanted to remember the Holy Prophet, Ali Akbar used to come. Once Ali Akbar came to Imam Hussein alayhi salam, and he says to Imam Hussein that, "Oh father, I have a complaint." And Imam Hussein says, "What complaint do you have?" He says, "I have a complaint against my uncle Abul Fadl Abbas." So Imam says to Ali Akbar, "Go bring Abul Fadl to me." So Abul Fadl Abbas comes to Imam Hussein. He bows his head. Imam says that Ali Akbar has a complaint against you, O Abbas. Abul Fadl says, "What have I done?" Ali Akbar says that whenever I go into the marketplace with you, What you do is when we enter the marketplace, you slowly move behind me. You let me walk in front and you walk behind. I don't find it appropriate that you walk behind me. You should walk in front of me. And Abu al-Fadl Abbas says to Abu Abdullah that he is right, oh my master. I do that every time we go into the marketplace, because whenever we enter into the marketplace, people start closing their shops. They start closing their businesses. For when Ali Akbar comes into the marketplace, they all come out to see the face of Akbar. To see the face of Akbar, for it reminds them of the Holy Prophet. I don't want to be that wall between them and Ali Akbar. A narrator says that after the events of Karbala, I had newly arrived in Medina. He was a traveler. And this man narrates that I had newly arrived in Medina and I was passing through the locality of Banu Hashim. I came to a certain place where my mount just stopped. And he said, I tried to make that horse move, but the horse would not move. So the narrator says, I dismounted and I looked at the horse and I saw that the horse was crying. I saw that there were tears in the eyes of the horse. Just as I saw that, I noticed that there was a voice coming out of the house in front of which the horse had stopped. And as I listened closely, I heard a woman wailing, Ya waladi Ali Akbar, Ya waladi Ali Akbar. And the narrator says that just then the curtain of the house lifted and a slave girl came out, and I asked the slave girl, oh lady, who is this lady who is crying, Ya waladi Ali Akbar, Ya waladi Ali Akbar? And the slave girl said, it seems that you are a traveler and that you have never gone through the locality of Banu Hashim. Oh man, do you not know this is the cry of the mother of Ali Akbar, Layla? For as soon as Ali Akbar has died in Karbala, she has constantly been wailing, Ya waladi Ali Akbar, Ya waladi Ali Akbar. Oh my son Ali Akbar, oh my son Ali Akbar. On the day of Ashura, Ali Akbar comes to Abu Abdullah al-Husseini and he says to him, oh my father, all the companions have been martyred. It is now time for the family to go into the battlefield. I want you to give me permission so that I can go into the battlefield. Abu Abdullah looks at Ali Akbar and he says to Ali Akbar, oh Akbar, all these years, the person that you should get permission from is your aunt Zainab. For it is Zainab who has actually brought you up all these years. She is the one for whom you should get permission. From my side, I have given you permission. For I want you as my son to be the first one to go into the battlefield. Ali Akbar now enters the tent of the women folk. Hamid bin Muslim writes that there was one tent in which Janab Zainab was there, and she had gathered all the women in that same tent. Ali Akbar enters that particular tent. Hamid bin Muslim says, I don't know what took place inside the tent. I don't know what took place inside the tent, but it took some time before Ali Akbar came out. When Ali Akbar came out, he was crying and he said to his father, Imam al-Hussein, he says, oh my father, my aunt has given me permission. And Imam Hussein says to Ali Akbar, Takaddam ya bunayya. Now go forward and give yourself to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But let me dress you first. Historians write that Ali Akbar was dressed by Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. And as Ali Akbar mounts the horse and he starts to move towards the battlefield, Imam Hussein looks at the sky and he says, Ya Allah, be witness that today that son of mine who is a spitting image of your holy prophet, today that son is the son that Hussein is sending into the battlefield for sacrifice. But as Ali Akbar is moving into the battlefield, he hears that there are some footsteps coming from behind him. Ali Akbar stops his mount. He looks back. He sees that Abu Abdullah al-Hussein is following his 18-year-old son. Ali Akbar stops. He dismounts. He says to Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, "Oh my father, you have already given me permission. Why is it that you follow me?" Hussein says to Ali Akbar, "Oh Ali Akbar, if you were to only know what it is like to send an 18-year-old young man into the battlefield, if only you were Sahib Awlad, if only you had children, you would know how difficult this is." And the historians write, in Maqtal al-Mukarram, you will find that Ali Akbar goes to fight. He kills 120 horsemen, but because of his great thirst, he returns back to the Khaymagah. When he returns back, Imam embraces Ali Akbar. He congratulates Ali Akbar. He says, "How are you doing, Ali Akbar?" And Ali Akbar says to Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, "Oh my father, if I was to only have a few drops of water, I will show you what kind of fight I can do." At that time, Imam Hussein cries. He says, "Oh Akbar, I have no water for you, but I have something I can ask you to do. Why don't you put your tongue in my tongue? Why don't you put your tongue in my tongue? Maybe you will get a little bit of relief." Ali Akbar puts his tongue in the tongue of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. Immediately he withdraws his tongue. He says, "Baba, your tongue is even drier than my tongue. You seem to be even more thirsty than I am. I want to go back into the battlefield." Now Ali Akbar starts to go back into the battlefield. When Ali Akbar now goes into the battlefield, Umar ibn Saad tells his army folk, he said, "There is no point in fighting with this boy one on one. I want you to surround Ali Akbar." They surround Ali Akbar. A man comes forward, and the history writes, he takes a spear. He then pierces the spear in the back of Ali Akbar. It goes from the back, and the end of the spear comes out in the front. He takes Ali Akbar. He holds Ali Akbar. He holds Ali Akbar away from his horse, and then he takes Ali Akbar, and he now throws Ali Akbar into the grounds of the Karbala. When Ali Akbar now goes into the grounds of Karbala, he now shouts out, "Ya Abata, alayka minni salam." Oh my father, Ali Akbar is now giving the last farewell to you. When Hussein hears the sada and the cry of Ali Akbar, he runs from the Khaymagah. He runs towards the lash of Ali Akbar. Azadaran Hussein, एक मर्तबा जब अली अकबर घोड़े से गिरे हैं, अली अकबर ने सदा दी, "या बता अलैका मिन्नी सलाम।" अज़ादारो, अली अकबर की जब आवाज इमाम के कानों में गूंजी है, एक मर्तबा इमाम अली अकबर की लाश की तरफ तेजी के साथ गए। मुअर्रिख लिखते हैं कि इमाम भागते हैं, फिर गिर जाते हैं, फिर भागते हैं, फिर गिर जाते हैं, और गिरते गिरते इमाम कहते हैं, "ऐना अली, ऐना अली, ऐना अली, ए अली तुम कहाँ हो?" मुअर्रिख लिखता है, कहता है, "मैं नहीं जानता कि अबा अब्दुल्ला अली अकबर को पुकार रहे थे या फिर नजफ में अली मुर्तजा को पुकार रहे थे, लेकिन ठोकरे खा खा के एक मर्तबा इमाम अली अकबर के पास आते हैं। अली अकबर के सरहाने पे इमाम बैठ जाते हैं, अली अकबर के सर को अपने आगोश में रखते हैं। फिर इमाम ने एक अजीब जुमला कहा अली अकबर से। इमाम कहते हैं, "अकबर, हो सके तो अपना एक हाथ मेरे गर्दन में डाल दो, मेरे गर्दन में डाल दो।" अली अकबर ने अपना एक हाथ इमाम की गर्दन पे डाल दिया। अली علی اکبر کا دوسرا ہاتھ اس کے سینے پہ تھا۔ اب امام کہتا ہے علی اکبر اپنا دوسرا ہاتھ بھی میرے باہوں میں ڈال دو تاکہ میں تمہیں خیمہ گاہ کی طرف لے جاؤں۔ اکبر کہتا ہے بابا میرا دوسرا ہاتھ مصروف ہے، میرا دوسرا ہاتھ مصروف ہے۔ عزادارو امام حسین نے کہا نہیں اکبر میں تمہیں خیمہ گاہ تک نہیں لے جا سکوں گا۔ علی اکبر نے کہا بابا برچی کا پھل میرے سینے میں پیوست ہے، میں دوسرا ہاتھ نہیں ہٹا سکتا۔ عزادارو ایک مرتبہ امام کھڑے ہو گئے، آستین کو اوپر چڑھایا، کہا ایک مرتبہ مدینے کا رخ کیا، کہتے ہیں یا رسول اللہ اب کربلا میں آ جاؤ اور دیکھو دادا ابراہیم کو بھی ساتھ لے کے آنا۔ دیکھو آج حسین اکبر کے سینے سے برچی کا پھل نکالنے والا ہے، حسین کی آنکھوں میں کوئی پٹی بھی نہیں، حسین کی آنکھوں میں کوئی پھٹی نہیں ہے۔ عزادارو ایک مرتبہ حسین نے علی اکبر کے سینے سے برچی کے پھل کو پکڑا، برچی کے پھل کو نکالا۔ جب برچی کے پھل کو نکالا ہے تو ایک خون کا فوارہ نکلا۔ امام زمانہ زیارت ناہیہ میں کہتے ہیں کہ میرا سلام ہو اس باپ کے اوپر، میرا سلام ہو اس باپ کے اوپر جس کے ہاتھ میں اپنے بیٹے کا کلیجہ، میرا سلام ہو اس باپ کے اوپر جس کے ہاتھ میں اپنے بیٹے کا کلیجہ تھا۔ عزادارو شیخ مفید کتاب الارشاد میں لکھتا ہے کہ جب ابا عبداللہ الحسین لاش اکبر پہ آئے ہیں، جب ابا عبداللہ الحسین اکبر کے پاس آئے ہیں تو دیکھا ایک پردہ پوشت بی بی علی اکبر کے پاس ہے، علی اکبر کے پاس وہ ہے ایک پردہ پوش بی بی ہے۔ جب امام حسین آگے آتے ہیں کہ دیکھا کہ جب اکبر نے صدا دی ہے تو زینب خیمہ چھوڑ چکی تھی، علی اکبر کے سینے سے لگی ہوئی زینب وہاں تھی۔ ایک مرتبہ جب حسین نے زینب کو دیکھا کہا بہن زینب حسین ابھی زندہ ہے، خیمے میں واپس چلی جاؤ۔ زینب نے کہا ماں جائے کریل جوان کی لاش کیسے اٹھاؤ، کریل جوان کی لاش کیسے اٹھاؤ گے؟ عزاداران حسین امام نے کہا زینب سے زینب خیمے میں واپس چلی جاؤ، آخری بیان پڑھ رہا ہوں، آخری مصائب پڑھ رہا ہوں، دلوں پہ ہاتھ رکھے یہ مصائب سننا۔ عزادارو عاشور کے بعد جب یہ لوٹا ہوا قافلہ جب جا رہا تھا شام کی طرف، کوفہ کے اور شام کے بیچ ایک نصرانیوں کا علاقہ تھا، کوفہ اور شام کے بیچ ایک نصرانیوں کا علاقہ تھا۔ وہاں عمر سعد نے کہا کہ سروں کو دیوال کے اوپر رکھ دیا جائے، ہم یہاں تھوڑی دیر کے لیے آرام کریں گے۔ سب سروں کو، شہداء کے سروں کو دیوال کے اوپر رکھا گیا۔ نصرانیوں کا جو علاقہ تھا، ایک نصرانیوں کی ایک ضعیف عورت وہاں پہ آتی ہے، وہاں پہ آتی ہے نصرانی کی ضعیف عورت۔ اس نے سب سروں کو دیکھا، ایک مرتبہ اون کے سر کو دیکھا، سلام کیا، محمد کے سر کو دیکھا، سلام کیا، عباس کے سر کو دیکھا، سلام کیا، قاسم کے سر کو دیکھا، سلام کیا، حسین کے سر کو دیکھا، سلام کیا۔ جب یہ نصرانی ضعیف عورت علی اکبر کے سر کے آگے آتی ہے، یہ عورت نے سلام نہیں کیا، سلام نہیں کیا۔ عزادارو یہ نصرانی عورت نے سب اپنی نصرانی بیویوں کو اکٹھا کیا اور کہتی ہے دیکھو تم سب اکٹھے ہو جاؤ. سب نصرانی بیویاں اکٹھے ہو گئی. یہ نصرانی کی ضعیف عورت یہ کہتی ہے دیکھو میں دعا کرتی ہوں تم آمین کہنا, میں دعا کرتی ہوں تم آمین کہنا. نصرانیوں کی عورتیں اپنے ہاتھ بلند کیے ہوئے ہیں. اب یہ نصرانی عورت دعا کرتی ہے. ایک مرتبہ یہ نصرانی عورت نے کہا پالنے والے میری یہ دعا ہے کہ یہ نوجوان خوبصورت کی ماں ان کے بیٹے کی شہادت سے پہلے مر گئی. میری یہ دعا ہے کہ اس نوجوان خوبصورت کی ماں ان کے شہادت سے پہلے مر گئی ہو, کیونکہ میں نہیں جانتی کہ ان کی ماں کیسے برداشت کرے گی کہ یہ کریل جوان خوبصورت کس طرح سے شہید ہوا ہے. میں کہوں گا نصرانی بی بی ایسی دعا نہ کر. اکبر کی ماں لیلا بی بی زندہ ہے اور مدینے میں بہت سالوں سے یا ولدی علی اکبر یا ولدی علی اکبر کی صدا دینے والی ہے.